All right, in this lesson, we're going to perform a vertical translation on a given graph. So here is the original graph, and what we want to do is transform it to this function right here. Y plus 5 is equal to f of x. So the first thing you want to do is identify the transformation. Okay, so there's two ways you could do this. You could rewrite this function so that it looks more like the general form of a function being transformed vertically. And remember, that general form is y minus k is equal to f of x, where k determines the number of units you're vertically being translated down or up. So if we rewrite this function so that it looks more like this function, this is what we have to do. Notice the negative k. So we have to create a negative between the y and the positive 5. So to do that, we're going to go y minus negative 5 is equal to f of x. When I do that, I'm changing the look of the equation. I'm not actually changing any values around because these two functions are the same thing. But what we could just created was this negative right here. And it's important because that will help you compare the function to the general form. So if we're comparing the general form to the new function that we just created here, that means my k value is going to be negative 5. So what does that mean with respect to the graph here? Well, it means that we're going to be moving down, okay, because it's negative. We're going to be moving down 5 units. Okay, units. So that was the first way you can identify the transformation here. But remember, from 20-1, you knew that k value was always on the other side. So that's what you could do to the function. You could bring the positive 5 to the other side. So what you end up getting is y is equal to f of x minus 5. And what did that minus 5 mean? Well, the minus 5 means that it was vertically translated down 5 units. So there's two ways. You could rewrite it in the general form, or you could just bring the k value over, which is something that you're used to seeing in 20-1, and identify the transformation from there. All right, so once we identify the transformation, what we want to do is actually perform it. So let's go back to the original graph here. What you want to do is you want to pick out 3 or 4 good points on the graph to help you sketch the transform function. So I'm going to pick this point right here, which is negative 3, comma 6. And I'm going to pick another point, this one right here, so 3, 0. Okay, and I'm going to pick a third point, 6, comma 3. And what we're going to do is perform the vertical translation to each of these points to draw the new graph. So remember, the transformation that's happening here is we are moving down 5 units. So remember, when we're vertically translating our graph, the only coordinates that should change here are the y coordinates. These are the coordinates that are going to be affected as a result of our vertical translation. So since we're moving down 5 units, what you want to do is subtract 5 from each of your y coordinates. So the new coordinates are as follows: negative 3, comma 6 minus 5, 3, comma 0 minus 5, okay, and 6, comma 3 minus 5. You're minusing 5 because you're moving down 5 units, okay? All right, so if we proceed on in calculating our coordinates here, we have negative 3. 6 minus 5 gives me positive 1. 3, comma 0 minus 5, which is negative 5. And finally, we have 6, comma 3 minus 5, which gives me negative 2. So these are your new points on the graph of the transform function. So from here, you simply plot them. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's graph negative 3, comma 1 first, which is going to go right there. And then 3, negative 5, which is right there. And finally 6, negative 2, which is right here. So as best as you can, this still needs to look like the original graph. The only difference is that it is vertically translated down. So as best as I can here, I'm going to draw a straight line, and that's what it should look like when you vertically translate the original function. And that's how you perform a translation on a given graph.